was 1895, I think, if I got my history right, but we're totally grateful to have it. The first thing you would have noticed is it's a big blue building on Northgate Mile. So you can see our names on a sign that's right on the road and on the side of the building. Where we were before, there was no Idaho Falls Police on the building anywhere. There hasn't been that on a building anywhere in the 130 years we've been around. So that's a huge, huge improvement for us, for people to be able to find where we are at and to come and talk to us. So the first thing you come in here is the front lobby. In the lobby, there's the desk officer, records, where a lot of folks come to get their records. There's a couple of interview rooms so that we can talk to people and not have to take them past the magnetometer. In order to come and talk to us beforehand, you always had to go through security and get searched and checked. Now people can enter in here, talk to an officer without having to go through that. It makes it a little bit easier for people to come and talk to us. Just some of the safety things about the building that are pretty cool. You notice those, I believe those are called bollards. I don't know exactly what they're called. The big metal poles that stick up. Keep people from driving cars in through it. This whole entryway was also, because this is open to the public, all the sheetrock back behind here is actually ballistic sheetrock. And then the glass that's there is ballistic glass. It was designed to protect the employees. Police stations around the country have been targets for folks as they want to do bad things. So it's designed to protect our employees. Then we're pretty excited about that little museum that's right over there. There's two sides to it. The Museum of Idaho is going to curate a history museum for us with some old stuff that they have from Idaho Falls Police Department, and then we have a half of it. We'll put our stuff in it. So any questions about this front little lobby area?
Is this where the public interfaces with you when they first come in?
This is the public entrance. This, and there's one other area of the building I'll show you later on that's open to the public. This is where the public would come in. If they need to go back and talk to an officer or a detective, they will have to go through the magnetometer to go into the secure area. But anyone can come in here. Is where you get police reports. You can file a report in here, and yes, this is where they could interact together.
All right.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. So I think they are too. It was kind of a cool partnership we were able to do. We'll come back here now. There's also just a restroom, right? You gotta have a restroom for everyone. So I'm assuming you're gonna beat with all your camera stuff. So this door goes to where that desk officer was. So that just goes right into there. And this room is also attached to the desk officer. That desk officer does a lot of fingerprinting for a lot of folks. So we take fingerprints for people that want to become school teachers, nurses. We have to fingerprint a lot of people's city licenses. So all the fingerprint stuff, that's all accessible from that front lobby area for the desk officer to do all their work. We're going to come into here now. I'm just going to hold the door open for you and let you get in. So this is moving into our training space. I don't know if any of you were ever at our old training annex. This is a training break room. We do a lot of hosted trainings. We'll get 60, 70 people here for that. We can also multi-use this training room we're going to go into a minute as a community room. We have a couple of community events. And this allows people to come in and have a break, have a snack, something, and not have to go through the rest of the building. And the training room is through here.
There are a couple things that are still being set up. Notice like there's dishwasher or fridges not in yet, things like that.
Light should turn on. So 141 people we can fit in here, which is a tripling of our capacity. There's another room on the other side, looks just like this. We'll walk in that in a minute, and we can also pull that divider back and have it one big classroom. So the city's already using this for a bunch of their events. They're going to do the public budget meeting here on Friday. The school districts asked if they can use it for some stuff. We've got a lot of community organizations asked if they can use it, and it is available to be used by the community. We also do a lot of our training in here. Like I say, we'll do hosted trainings. Agencies from all over the region will be able to come here and train along with our guys. It's a lot more cost effective to do it that way as opposed to sending our people around the country. So set up pretty cool. There'll be another TV that will come up back here so the person presenting up front can see what they're presenting on a PowerPoint, and it's up there in the front part for the employees.
Right.
It hasn't been put up yet, but the gate's going to go right about here. And so once that gate's up, you can just close that gate. And then you can see there's a door that goes to the outside right there. And so we can gate that off and just open this area up to the public and let community groups use it, city employees use it for other city functions and things like that. Then the rest of the building's still secure and we can continue to operate and we're in compliance with all the rules, but it becomes a community room as well. Yeah, we use it for our training purposes. That's part of what we had to value engineer. The building was originally designed with a separate community room, but to save money and to make it more efficient, we just engineered it with the architect so we could multi-use this space as both our training room and as a community space.
You mentioned people coming into the department to go into do trainings. Would that be for new recruits or would that be for standard police officers and people who are already working for the department?
All of the above. So our new officers are training here all the time. There's a little schedule on each training room already. They're being used every day. So our new officers use it. We do it for in-service training and then also for hosted trainings, which is for regional trainings as well. We use it for all of that.
All right.
So your neighborhood meeting could be held here that you held at the school?
Yep, you could do it
last
here.
month?
You could do it here. Also, like different community organizations needed a spot to hold a meeting. We could talk to them about allowing them to do that. We did a family meeting here with IFPD family members. Like I say, the city's doing their budget meeting here as a public meeting on Friday. We'll multi-use it for a lot of things.
All right.
Its main purpose is for training, though, but we're going to use it for lots of stuff.
So people will be allowed through with security?
No, because the gate,
Oh, the gate.
the gate goes right there,
Okay.
and then there's two doors that go to the outside. So if we're opening it up for that, the gate will just. We're going to do a press conference tomorrow, I think. I don't know if we announced that.
No, we haven't.
We haven't, so don't quote me on that one yet. If we do one tomorrow, we will just block that part off, so you can bring all your camera stuff in here and not have to go with the metal detector. And so it would be open to anyone that wanted to come with that stuff like that.
Okay.
That
So
makes
press
sense.
conferences in there as well.
Yep,
Okay.
all that stuff.
And the press conference today?
No.
We're not
Oh,
doing
that's
this.
not
There's no press conference.
So this is the other half of the training room. You can see this is where our new officers have been training in here. That's all the gear as the new officers are getting ready to come up. Those are the flags for the flag ceremony coming up later today. But second half of the training room where you can open it up and have one big one.
Right. For more officers to be in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So in here, this is our professional standards and logistics. Sorry. So this is professional standards and logistics. These are the folks that do all of our training. They also do our internal affairs, investigations, everything that has to do with facilities, equipment, make our cars run, make sure our officers have all their equipment. So this is all their space. So lieutenant, sergeant, captains around the outside. Jessica here's got her spot right there. There's a little computer training classroom back in here. So when we do hire new officers, and some of the computers will still get set up, when we do hire new officers from out of state, they have to spend a couple of months online doing online courses. So it's a place for them to do that. Just all spots for our training folks, our logistics folks. So this is something that we didn't have in any of our old facilities. This is our internal interview room. People will complain about police sometimes, and we investigate when those complaints come in, and we have to interview a lot of our own employees, and we do that interview in here. We don't want to interview our own employees in the same interview and interrogation room that we use for suspects. It's just it's a different type of thing, but this is wired and cambered and everything just like that type of interview room. This is for internal interviews for our own people.
So that would be an investigation, say, after a police shooting, or?
Could be a police shooting, could be, hey, someone called and said, hey, the officer was rude to me. Could be, hey, the officer, we get complaints from rudeness to driving complaints to inappropriate contacts. There's lots of different complaints. People call and complain, and we will investigate them. Often we have to interview our employees to ask them what occurred and what happened. So this is where all that takes place. It's part of our internal governance, internal affairs.
So how many levels does this have?
Two.
Two?
And then there's an auxiliary building.
And that auxiliary building, that's where you keep a lot of your equipment?
Yep, we will go out there at the end, yep.
Got it.
So I tell everyone this is the least important part of the building. When the original designs were being done, the building said police headquarters on it, and I kept telling people this is not a headquarters, it's an operational building. I'm going to try to point out all the operational stuff. This is the small part of it, it's the administration. So this is the chief's office, deputy chief. So the deputy chief's there, a crime analyst. There's a media relations room, which hopefully you guys get to use sometime in the future. One of the things I did want to point out, you will notice there's an office that's not being used. Everywhere in the building there's a little bit of space that we're not currently used. About 13% of the building was designed for future growth. And the city enacted impact fees about a year and a half ago. So about $4 million of the total cost of this building, which is about 13% of the cost, is being funded by the folks that are going to be coming over the next couple of years to move into town for the growth as everything has to grow. So this was not just built for today, it was built to grow over the years. So I thought that put a lot of thought into that.
Like 130 years kind of thing, right?
130 years maybe, you know. It's designed life is somewhere in that 40, 50 year range, right, which is pretty typical, but I suspect here we'll get a good 100 years out of it. Well, we will not be around, any of us, to see what happens next, so we'll see what happens in a little bit. Coming in. So this is records. So, high density storage for all the, you would think in 2024 we get away from paper records, but there's no getting away from paper records. If we do it, we write a report about it. But the records folks all work in here, and then you can see that door that's right open over there. That goes to where the records window was out front. And so there's a spot for one of the records people to sit out there and interact with the public, and this is where the records folks work out of. They're super excited about having windows. I think they spent the last 30 years in a windowless room. It was kind of funny. They had a picture of a window in their old office. I don't know if you ever were in that records office, but they had a picture of a window that was kind of funny. They did have a door that went to the outside, but it's where all the pigeons would hang out, so there were always dead pigeons there. But this is a pretty good upgrade for our records people. Questions about records?
Yeah, how much space did they have before for actual records and physical records for them? And will this be a place where they can have more density for that? Or?
How much more space do you have with records? What was the conversion, do you know?
I don't know, I just know that we have probably 5 or 6 empty ones.
So probably about 30-40% increase in the record space, so there's room to grow for the next several years.
How long do you have to retain records, and is there a process to digitize those, or how does that work?
It depends on how long, it depends on what type of record it is. A homicide case, we're going to keep that record almost forever. We've had 3 or 4 different records management systems over the last 20 so years. So there's like microfiche. You have to get one of those little things and read it. There's different legacy systems. It's really expensive to have that stuff converted all and digitized into something new, and that's not something that we've had the resources to do. So we keep all the old microfiche and to be able to access it through that.
Sorry if I keep on getting
No, you're good.
We can pop the door in there, but on both levels there's a lactation room. Turns out it's federal law when you build something new, it's required, but also it's part of accreditation standards for policing these days. And we do have a lot of female employees and a lot of families. We want to be a family-friendly organization, and this was a way to express that we want to be family-friendly for our working parents that are having to work and raise their kids too. Coming into the investigations area now. Bringing the media guys in. So this is detectives' investigations, effectively known as the bullpen. This is where all the detectives have all their individual cubicles. Sergeants, captains, lieutenants are around the outside. There's an alcove for our narcotics detectives, and a little place for processing evidence. So this is the digital forensics lab. So we do a lot of digital forensics work. A lot of cases these days have a device attached to it, a computer, a phone, a laptop, something like that. Everyone wants to live stream, and we appreciate that. It makes it a little bit easier to solve the case. But so this is specifically designed for that. Our ICAC unit, Internet Crimes Against Children, work in here. One of the county deputies is also part of that unit, so they have a little space in here. Is Artis in here? Yep, he's in here. We've got our dog that is a device sniffing dog. You know, people would always hide drugs inside walls. They'd take off power plates and hide drugs inside power plates, and they found that people now hide their electronic devices like they used to hide their drugs because it's got all their information. So Artis is one of 2 device sniffing dogs. What's his technical name?
Electronic Storage Detection Canine.
Electronic Storage Detection Canine. He's one of 2 in the state. And he's attached to the ICAC unit, Internet Crimes Against Children, so he helps serve search warrants all over the region and finds folks' phones that they're hiding, things like that. So in this area, this floor is a what's the word? Hydrostatic, is that the right word? Kyle? Hydrostatic?
Well, it's like anti-static.
Anti-static.
Yeah.
It's an anti-static floor. You've heard the rumors, like if you rub your feet on the carpet, build up an electric charge, you can zap your phone and it will lose. Probably not quite that severe, but some of the flash drives and things like that, you can create an electric charge and lose some of that memory, so it's designed to not do that. That big metal box back there is a Faraday room. So what the officers will do is when they get the electronic device, they all have Faraday bags, they'll immediately put that in the Faraday bag, keep people from being able to remotely wipe the phone. And then when these guys get it, they can take it into that Faraday room and work on it. That little black box on the table is what we were using in the old building. It's kind of like if you've watched any of the movies about the chemical labs and things like that, where they put their hands in the little gloves and have a little box. That's how they were having to manipulate the electronic devices to be able to keep it inside of a Faraday cage. Now they can put it in that big box there, and it's a lot easier for them to work on all the devices we have. The Faraday cage was originally, again, it was part of the original design of the building. It got value engineered out to get it on budget, but we were under budget enough as we got going that we had enough to put it back in, so it was put back in. Questions about the digital forensics lab? So this is where patrol is. This is their body cameras and where they dock their body cameras, and it will upload to the storage and things like that. The way it's designed, if I could have someone just hold this door open if someone wouldn't mind. So there's the gate right out there. This is designed for patrol parking right here. It's kind of a hot entrance, hot exit. We had a couple of high-profile calls over the last couple of years where the officers were here and had to run out really quick. The body camera was on the other side of the building, so it was more important to get the call. Now they go right past the body camera, go out so they can grab that, get right out, and do a quick exit to get to the call in the community. So it's designed as a hot exit, hot entrance for the patrol guys. It's just a couple of exterior ones that won't work when I got it in my wall patch. Yeah. If I pull it out, it'll work, but it doesn't work inside there. So this is patrol space now. Oh, that looks good. I'd be like, Larry, I'm gonna grab it and start chewing on it.
Sorry. Just like the dog.
This is the patrol space. So the cubicles in the middle are for our patrol sergeants. In the old building, we had 2 sergeant offices that 9 of them shared. So we had 9 people sharing a very small office. So this is a huge upgrade for them. Again, sergeants and a captain around the outside. Little teaming area for the patrol folks as well. Everything's new here, but this is their list of stuff they've been trying to work out, and the smell Some of the sewage was backing up, and they've been working on that. But if you came like right in here, it just smelled like sewage. And the joke was, because that's what the old building smelled like all the time. And they were wondering how much extra we had to pay to get that smell. We think we got that taken care of. You don't smell it right now, but because I go, it stinks. I go down there, it doesn't stink. It doesn't stink. Oh, it stinks. It doesn't stink. So I was here late at night one day. I came down here like, oh my goodness, that smells horrible. We've got that fixed. It's just a little sewage problem, but it kind
Plus,
of
there used to be a lot of cows living here.
used to be a lot of cows living here, so we didn't have to pay anything extra to get that.
Was a cow thing, that's everything.
So this is the patrol briefing room. If you're really old like I am, you watched Hill Street Blues a little bit when you were a kid, and the sergeant would sit up front and would say, and be careful out there every day before he sent the officers out. If you're a lot younger, there's like Boston 9-9, or I can't, yeah, kind of the same, or Rookie, watch Rookie, stuff like that. So this is where the officers start their day. The patrol officers get the brief from the sergeant. There's seating here for a lot more officers than we put out, but we'll do big briefs for like the 4th of July and other things like that. But this is where the officers will start their day and get their briefings from their sergeants.
Gotta get a photo with you behind the podium.
That's not my podium.
That's not your place?
No, I can find a sergeant.
Patrol
for you,
captain or
hopefully,
sergeant?
yeah. What?
Patrol captain or sergeant? Or?
Yeah, they would all use that, right? Yeah,
Nice.
that's all for them. So this is code enforcement. We picked up code enforcement about 2 years ago from another city department. So they enforce, 3 years ago, they enforce all the ordinances that aren't jail ordinances. So, and aren't animal, because animal services does that, but like snow removal, weeds, political signs, abandoned vehicles, and the list goes on and on from there. So they're very, very busy. And you met Rusty. Rusty is one of our 2 facility dogs, but Rusty is a little bit more trained. Rusty is almost a full therapy dog now. So you met Sarge earlier. Sarge is just for the employees. Rusty can be used for the public as well, because he's almost done with all of his training. So Rusty was our pilot project. Rusty's been hanging out with us for almost 2 years. So we've been Rusty's handler, Armory there, about 2 years. He's been training up, and he's almost ready to be fully deployed. This is the Sally Port, aka temporary storage area for a lot of stuff. This garage door, the officers raise the garage door from the outside. Car can come in, suspect comes out directly into that interview and interrogation area. Then when they're ready to go, they can go out the other side. There's the concept, and you maybe don't like this, the perp walk, where you pull the perpetrator out, parade him past all the media. We don't do that, sorry. Everything's done privately in here. It's also set up to do some very light maintenance on our vehicles, like adding windshield wiper fluid and stuff like that. Then there's 2 canine kennels over there. Those are not jail cells. We don't have any jail cells here in this building. There's another facility that Bonneville County runs as a jail. Those are for our dogs. We have a total of 10 dogs at the police department now. You met Artis, who's the electronic device dog. There's 2 wellness dogs. And then our other dogs are either bomb dogs or patrol dogs or drug dogs. But sometimes when the officers are here, they don't want to leave them in their car the entire day because they're going to have to work in the office. They can bring the dog in and let it be in the kennel. It's a lot nicer for the dog. And then there's a dog bath area there also to keep the dogs clean. Right around that corner, there's a dog bath. If you want to go take a look at it.
That's a chemical shower.
That's a chemical shower. As it turns out, OSHA requires you to put those in so many places. They said, are you going to do anything in here that has to do with chemicals? Well, we may put some windshield wiper fluid in the cars and stuff like that. Emergency eye wash, just in case you spill something.
You guys should check out the dog bath.
Yeah, the dog bath's pretty cool. Right now, we have a contract with one of the local pet companies to take the dogs down to keep them clean. But this allows us to just do it in-house. Take care of them. The dogs are officers just like anyone else. You know, I've watched those dogs run into danger, and they're tremendous tools. You get to love those dogs. When this was originally designed, if you'd have been here a couple months ago, this top part of the cage wasn't on it. But our dogs are athletic enough, they could have climbed up this thing and jumped out. And we didn't want them to be able to do that, so we had to retrofit this. That's why it looks a little bit different, because this was retrofitted because our dogs are just really athletic.
So would all 10 be in here at a single time?
No. Like, artists will never come down here, except for maybe on the 4th of July. The officer has to work, but one of the canine guys, normally they're out operational, or they're kept at their handler's home, where they stay the night or the daytime, depending on when the officers work. But if like they have to write a report, it's going to take them a couple hours or something like that. Instead of leaving the dog in the car with the car running, they can let the dog in at the time. Locker rooms in. So this is the Armory. I've tried to keep it a secret as long as I could. That we did our best to secure everything that we had, but we had so many different buildings that were not purpose designed. We're very grateful we didn't have any major incidents, someone breaking in and taking our stuff. This is where all the guns and things like that will get locked up. It's got dual security on it. No one's getting in here to take anything now. So it was a huge upgrade, much safer, much more in line with what we should be doing. And then this area will be a gun cleaning area and maintenance area, so they can make sure the firearms are working properly and clean them.
Do you have an actual armorer that fixes guns?
We have multiple armors,
Okay.
so we have to have an armor for every weapon system that we have. So we have a Glock armor, H&K armor. We've got a lot of our guys that have gone to armor schools, yeah. This is the monitoring room I was talking about. Not nearly as cool as a two-way window, but that's where you can watch the interviews and interrogation.
You should just put a mirror in there just to make them think.
Just to make people happy, just to look old school. So again, a server room. This is for all of our stuff here. The one upstairs is designed for the city. The lactation room on this floor. Main employee entrance is right here. One of the cool things is we are under budget for the project, and so we're able to put some stuff back in. We'll end up still being under budget, but you notice all these walls are just bare and blank. There's a couple of places where we have IFPD, but we are looking to get a little bit of interior design work done on it too. And this wall right here is going to be like the Hall of Heroes. We've had multiple officers get medals of valor, medals of courage, and stuff like that. So all that stuff will be displayed right here. So as all the employees walk in every day, they can be inspired by all the great things they've done over time.
Very cool. So you're gonna use some of the extra for like a sauna or something?
No sauna.
Did someone prep you with that question?
No, because the old law enforcement building had a sauna in it about 10 years ago. When they remodeled the locker room there, this is before I got here, they remodeled the locker room and they took the sauna out. So I got a lot of questions, were we putting a sauna in here? And the answer was no, we're not putting a sauna in
Nobody
here.
actually prepped me with that. I was just,
Yeah, funny enough.
Yeah.
There was one.
I get that question all the time. Are we getting a sauna? No, there's no sauna in here.
What about a workout room?
Yes, we'll get into there.
Great.
So this is the employee locker room. The officers have a lot of gear they carry, a lot of gear they take back and forth from home. So all the officers get a locker, and then our other employees get it also. You can see up there, that's actually a vent that goes up to the outside, so all the lockers are vented to the outside. We're very smelly, especially when we have those vests on and we sweat and been out in all the weather. It can stink, so it's designed to keep it from not
Stinkless.
smelling so bad. This is an open locker design, which was pretty innovative for law enforcement. I've had a lot of people come through here, and even a couple of gym companies have come through here and said, we're going to start designing our stuff like this. So everyone gets a locker in here. Then you can go through that horseshoe area there. There's private changing areas in there. So all of our employees all have a locker together. This helps us out a lot. It's very difficult to predict how many female employees we're going to have at the police department 15, 20 years from now. We're getting more and more female officers into law enforcement, and the goal is to continue to get more. In the old building, every female we had could have 3 lockers, and we ran out of lockers for the males. That's going to change over time. So instead of trying to guess, it's all an open locker concept, and everyone's in the same spot, and then you go to change in a private changing room. So if you want to walk around that little horseshoe, you can take a look at those changing rooms and shower rooms for folks. And then the lockers themselves have power, so they can charge their phones and their other devices. We do run all of our cars off of the cell phones, so all the Wi-Fi, hotspot, everything's getting run off that cell phone, so they've constantly got to be charging that thing. And then it's got this little boot storage down here to keep the boots and belts and stuff like that in. And then vented the outside so we don't stink.
They keep weapons in there too, or they?
This is
kept
a
in-
secure area, so yeah, your personal weapon, like if I'm going in to do something, I'll just lock. You can see we have our own locks on them, so we'll lock it up in there, but yeah, we'll keep it in there. Then this little horseshoe has the shower changing rooms. So you can go and change, take a shower, get ready to go back out to work or do whatever you're doing. There's
How many total?
10, yeah. At the old building, we had a little over 10 showers between the male and female locker room, but this is a much more efficient use of it. And also, it takes care of a lot of issues. You know, no one wants to have to get, I gotta be careful of anyone live streaming me, I don't know. No one wants, some people are just modest, they don't want to have to get undressed in front of other folks, and it respects everyone's human dignity and allows everyone to use every facility we have. I did have the International Association of Chiefs of Police was here a month or so ago. They did a presentation. They took a little tour, and they're actually wanting to update the police facility standards that they put out to reflect what was done here because it was so innovative for what they came up with.
Very cool.
Coming here now. So this is the employee break room. We saw the break room upstairs. That's the training break room. Remember, we'll have 50, 60 people here that are not from the police department that are training. We don't want them to come through the entire building. This is the employee break room. It's not quite done yet. I've learned a lot about construction. The concrete folded. I think that's the right word to say. So they had to come back and grind this concrete down. This was originally just going to be concrete like this, but because they had to do that, they're going to end up tiling it. You can see there's a little piece of tile up there. They should have this finished, I think the first of next week is when they'll finish it. Then in the hallway out there, you saw the refrigerators and stuff that will come in here. So employee break room, a little spot to go outside if the weather's good. You can sit down outside and enjoy your break when you can get one. This is the physical readiness room, aka the workout area. Jim, you're welcome to walk in there. So far, this has been the most popular room in the building for most of the employees. There is a very physical component to our job. We do mandate all of our police officers take a physical fitness test every year, so we PT test them every year. Some folks have to do it a couple of times a year. So there's a large need to keep our folks fit and safe. We did have a workout facility in the old building as well. It was down in the basement. It was 2 different rooms. This is a much, much, much better space. That door will roll up right there, and then you can go outside. You know, some people like to flip tires or whatever they're into. There's lots of room for people to stay healthy and exercise in here. It's good for physical health. It's great for mental health. It helps out with everything that we do.
There's your two-way mirror right there.
What?
There's your two-way mirror right there.
There's the mirror. You can see the interrogation going on after that. So this is the evidence bag and tag. This is where the officers will come to package their evidence. We have to be able to maintain a chain of custody of the evidence from the second that we get it to whenever it goes to court. Could be a year later. So the officers will bring the evidence in here, they'll package it, seal it, sign their name on it, make sure that it's all encased there, and this is all the stuff assuming that. They'll take it and pop it inside one of these things now, so it goes right inside there. Then that gets closed and locked, and then the evidence tech can get it on the other side. Massive upgrade to what we were doing beforehand. We used to have to run a shopping cart between 2 floors, go out of the police department into the public area, back into it's part of why my hair's so gray. It's just so contrary to all the rules for how you're supposed to handle stuff. But this is a modern evidence facility. So this is where the officers package, bag and tag all the evidence. I told Cheyenne we'd be through here. I do. I've also got a key.
Is that an examination hood right here with the basic?
That is, so fentanyl, it's really dangerous. That's actually a hood to suck it out if they have any sort of accident or spill, to keep the officers from having an accidental overdose. This is where the magic happens back here. So
This is
after
the other side of the
this is
block.
the other side. So after the officers put it in there, our evidence. Well, I can't open it because it's locked. But she would have a key. She can open that out, pull it right out there, and then log it into the computer, and then put it back into our storage area back here. So back here is the evidence storage. So right off the bat, you'll see there's 3 refrigerators and a freezer. And when we get back here, there's another refrigerator. We ran out of refrigerator space in the old building. We have to keep rape kits for decades, 60 years, for a long time. We collect a lot of biological evidence, has to be refrigerated. I should have pointed out up front there when we go back out, one of those places to put evidence, the officers put it in, is now a refrigerated area, so they can put it into a refrigerator, get put right into the refrigerator. Then all this is evidence storage for evidence. This about triples our capacity to store evidence, which is fantastic. So smaller evidence, bigger evidence would go on these high density storage ones here. There's the other refrigerators for keeping biological evidence. Safes are for jewelry, things like that. We usually get any cash into the bank pretty quick, but we can keep that temporarily in here. We'll go out here in a second. It's got an auction, destruction, segregation area. After we keep evidence for so long, if we don't have to keep it anymore, if it's found property or something like that, we do auction it off. There's a standard way of doing that. This allows us to segregate that. Separate room for firearm storage. You can take a peek in there at what that looks like. I'm just not going to open the door up, but you can see through there. It's a huge upgrade to how we used to have to keep our firearms. Can you listen to the drug one? Yeah, that one also, yeah. I'll show you the crime lab here right now, which is where they can pull stuff out and process it.
And this room is more secure than probably a lot of the other places, or?
That's why my card wouldn't work on it. I don't usually go in there. So now we're going into the crime lab. Again, this is one that is just a huge, huge upgrade, which will help us solve a lot more crimes. So the first area is just office space for the crime lab folks, the crime lab technician. This is a vehicle examination bay. So you see this lift will actually lift cars up off the ground. We had to process a lot of cars. There was a car used in the homicide about a month or 2 ago. So we had this, we would have been able to lift that car up and be able to look underneath it a lot better than we can currently. We search a lot of cars through search warrants and things like that. This is just to examine cars. We're going to walk in through here and go to the next one. is set up with a alternate light source in here also, so you can find biological evidence and things like that. You have sex assaults that occur in cars, assaults, homicides, all that kind of stuff. So it allows us to properly process a car.
My husband's really over this vehicle with.
And then this is the crime lab space. This is all part of crime lab. This is where they'll do fingerprinting. There's the super glue chamber for fingerprinting. Sorry?
Sorry, I was moving
It was-
aside to just parking.
They can do a lot of DNA extraction. We can't do the analysis of the DNA or the sequencing of it. That would go to the state lab, but these guys would do all the extraction of it. There's an alternate light source room, black light, so that's for finding bodily fluids, urine, blood, semen, things like that. There's a blood drying chamber. We do have to take a lot of bloody clothing and things like that. You have to dry it before you can do anything with it. So there's all that stuff to dry it. So this is the CSI room, if anyone watched CSI when a kid. This is the room where all that stuff takes place. It's about a doubling of our capacity and about a doubling of what we can do. We used to have a bunch of equipment. We didn't have any room to pull it out, so it didn't get used as often, but huge upgrade to what we had.
Do you do all of your lab stuff in-house then?
As much as we can. Like I said, there's some things you have to send to the state lab. So we don't test drugs here, so we have to send that to the test lab, to the state lab. We can extract DNA, but we don't do the sequencing, the DNA matching, stuff like that. That would go to the state lab. So we do quite a bit here, and then we are very grateful to have the state lab also to have more complex stuff done. Before I head out, there's a battery backup in that electrical room. So we're set between two power stations. They feed from both, so if one goes down, the other one will get us. Will take care of us. And then we have battery backup, so if we lose power, that will automatically go on. Then there's a backup generator, which you can see as we go out, and then we're also on the dam power from the river, and the river, in theory, will always flow. So this building is going to survive everything except for if the Yellowstone caldera goes off, in which case
Nobody wants any more.
we'll all be gone. And that's the Sally Port you were in. That's the exit to the Sally Port. This is all the employee parking back here. We're still getting the openers for those big gates. So you can see there are 3 gates those will eventually come down. This will all be a secure parking lot. That right there is the backup generator. And that wood that you see on the other side of that fence, that's the historical walkway. That's the wood that was salvaged from the stockyards. That's a public area. If the public wants to come, there's a little bench out there. It's just to recognize the history of what the place was before we built here of the stockyards.
How important is it to have a secure parking lot?
It is very important. We keep a lot of stuff in these cars. We need space in order to operate. It was a little shocking to me when I first got here. I was sitting in my office at the law enforcement building, and it was right by that alley, which is all put. And someone was like right outside there fiddling with stuff, and I'm like, "What on earth are you doing?" I mean, it's just unnerving, but it's a huge improvement.
We also have all our civilian employees that come and go, and when they're coming and going, having to walk through downtown
Oh,
in
yeah.
the dark. That's,
So this is a training room. This is a mat room, a dedicated mat room, and it's also got some multi-purpose. So arrest control techniques. We talked earlier, a lot of our job is physical. We do have to have physical skills. Trained officers use less force. The better trained you are, the less force you're going to have to use. The state uses a system called Archon, and that's what they use for defensive tactics. Archon is based off of jiu-jitsu. So we use this room to train jiu-jitsu and to train Archon. We do have a program where all of our new officers have to spend a full year of going to jiu-jitsu classes once a week for a year. And a lot of our veteran officers do it also. So they'll come in here and practice. They call it rolling.
right? They come in here and practice rolling around with each other, so they're very highly skilled. So it's used for that. Then also we have a virtual reality simulator that is not hardwired in here yet, but it will be hardwired in this room. That virtual reality simulator is a 4-person unit, so we can put those virtual reality goggles on 4 of our officers at a time. We can program any scenario that we want to and let them work that scenario and do scenario-based training. We can recreate any officer-involved shooting that we've had or anywhere in the country, recreate a domestic violence case, recreate anything, and put our officers all through it. So this is a really important training room that's going to get used quite a bit.
That is insanely forward-thinking. Like that's something like from a science fiction book.
Yeah, we got the funding for the virtual reality simulator from the city council last year. We were just waiting for a space to put it in, and this is the space to put it in. It's really going to upgrade our training abilities. You know, I haven't talked a lot yet about the efficiencies we get out of this, but we changed the entire way that we're training now that we've moved to this building, and it's freed up a whole bunch of officer days that they don't have. The logistics of it, we can now have them out in the community doing police work and improve our training at the same time. It just brought so much more efficiency to us for how we do training. It's a huge benefit for having better skilled officers and also providing more response to the community.
So this is for the virtual?
No, this is for the training portion of it. The virtual reality simulator is not set up in here yet. You know, if you're doing a training video or watching some of the jiu-jitsu stuff as they do it, these are just TVs to play videos on so they can help train for them. This is for our pre-hire test and our PT test. If you want to jump, you got to be able to jump.
Right, for the
10
training.
feet or something like that.
You mean jump, right?
Incoming.
So we're coming into our specialty team room. This is our UAS, unmanned aircraft, so the drones. We operate quite a few drones. We use them quite a bit. At the standoff we had at Econo Lodge in the last 2 weeks, or about 2 weeks ago, we had multiple drones flying there. We actually flew a drone into the hotel room to try to see where our suspect was, which allowed us to finally go in there and get him. So we used the drones for a lot of things. We found people in the river. We found homicide suspects. We used them to process crime scenes from above to get video, crashes, things like that. So our drones operate out of there. And here's our SWAT locker room and explosive ordnance disposal team locker room. So our guys that are on SWAT and I said guys, I meant guys and gals, we got both. Our officers are on SWAT, they have their main locker, and then they have this locker because the SWAT gear or the explosive ordnance disposal gear is just a lot more. So this is for them to keep their specialty gear in. A little room for them to take a shower if they need to afterwards. Then this is the special team briefing room. Prior to being operational, they can come here and make their plans and it's not fully set up yet, but it's getting there. Make their
Do
plans.
you have a live feed from your drone into here, or?
We can. Usually, I'll show you the vehicle out here, and the drone operators all have it in their cars too. So usually we can watch the live feed right from the scene, and you
right.
can see that feed from the drone right as things are happening, which is a
Right.
huge improvement from a command and control perspective about deploying your people where you're going at. So the briefing room for the special teams. This is our munition storage room. So again, we had lots of ways we had to store it beforehand. They all get stored in here now. Those are a couple of our older robots there. So we utilize robots both for our explosive ordnance disposal and for our SWAT team. We do the regions EOD, so we have about half of the state, parts of small parts of Wyoming, a little bit of Utah, I believe. But the bomb squad trailers in here. These are all of our specialty vehicles. This is the drone vehicle. So the back of that opens up and it's all a big TV there, so you can live stream it from there. One of the huge advantages is the last couple of times we tried to take this out, it was dead. Wouldn't start. Took us about an hour to find someone to jump start it. By the time we could get it out, it was over. You can see these plugs coming down from the ceiling. Now we can keep these vehicles charged all the time, and this makes our response time, it significantly reduces our response time to get stuff. This is the crime scene trailer. I talked about the crime lab. This is the mobile version of that. So he'll go out to the major crime scenes, process all the crime scene, then take it back to that crime lab. We have our emergency command vehicle there. Our 2 Harley Davidsons for our motorcycles, a piece of our armored equipment for SWAT call outs, and so it's all the specialty stuff stays out here. And they're walking out of the way, which is cool, but the other thing nice about this is we can multi-use this training space, because you can see they have those targets set up on the wall there. They're utilizing a laser system that you can attach to your firearm, and we can do a lot of firearms training one-on-one without actually having to go to the range and use very expensive ammunition. So they come in here and they can train on their firearms in here with that laser targeting system, and have a realistic way of how they do that. One of those efficiencies I talked about for how we can train it here. No, we truly appreciate our relationship with the Sheriff's Office. It's a really close one. So bomb guys, robot storage in there. Mobile field forces are crowd control, riot squad, things like that. General storage area. Then our quartermaster is in here. The quartermaster, so everything, so we don't issue guns out of here, but tasers, batons, handcuffs, uniforms, pants, shirts, holsters, handcuff cases. There's so many things we have to issue. They store it, issue it, take it all out of here. That is the $5 tour. So questions on anything for the whole complex?
Mainly just to wrap up again, you mentioned how much more space you have for things like evidence, for armories, how some of those things, it was really detrimental for them to have such limited space in some of these older buildings and these so spread out. If you could just wrap it up once again, how much of an impact is going to have this much of a space after 130 years? There's
an impact in everything. I mean, we looked at a lot of training stuff. Our ability to train our officers is significantly higher today than it was 5 months ago. The virtual reality simulator, that Mantis system you looked at, the mat room that we were just in, the training classrooms, we can just do a lot more training, and we can do it in less time. Where we used to have to bring people from 8 different facilities, find a time to bring them all to the same spot, that took a day. It used to take a day, we can get done in a few hours now. So we can do more training, spend less time, and more officers out on the road that are better trained. That's a huge thing. Our crime lab is a huge improvement to be able to investigate the homicide cases, the major cases we have. That's just, it's a huge improvement. Evidence, that space is night and day compared to what we used to have to be able to keep the evidence for the length of time we need to. That refrigerator space, we were getting pretty desperate because one of our refrigerators was dying in the old one, and we physically couldn't get it out or move it, put a new one in. We didn't know what we were going to do, but now we've got the space to keep all that stuff we're required to keep. The operational space for the patrol officers, the interview and interrogation room, the employee wellness room, that gym. When I talk about how important physical fitness is to police officers, to law enforcement, to people, it's just, it's so important to us. There's a physical component to the job, but I've read I'm not going to pretend to be that smart, but I've read a lot of research about how much exercise and being physical fit impacts mental wellness. And our police officers do some of the hardest things you could ever imagine anyone ever doing. Our dispatchers, our folks are out there just seeing the worst of what occurs in the city, and some bad stuff happens here. So giving them a space not only to stay healthy, but also to take care of some of their mental health needs and to keep them mentally and physically healthy is a huge improvement. The public interaction, it says Idaho Falls Police on the side, big blue building on Northgate Mile. Everyone knows where we are. Be able to come and talk to us. The community-oriented policing, to have that community room. I can go on for a long time. You're gonna have to cut me off because you're gonna run out of time.
Last question, really, and it's kind of a related one with that. Obviously, it represents a significant investment, but you've gained so much space in order to go and have those benefits for the officers. With those benefits in mind, how will that benefit the community around to have this facility for the Idaho Falls community, for the Idaho Falls Police? How does this impact the community as well?
So it's got multiple impacts in the community. Number one, the spot was chosen deliberately. We had 7 or 8 different locations, but this spot was chosen deliberately to do a little revitalization to the area here. So you just have that, number one. Officers coming and going. Where we are at here is kind of in the center of, if you were to do a heat map of where all the calls for service in Idaho Falls happen, where all the crime occurs, we're kind of right in the middle of it right here. So our response times from the building would go down. Cities are healthy. We've learned I think over the last 10, 20 years, I think we've learned it for a couple hundred years, but we've relearned it over the last couple years that if your police department and your community aren't healthy together, your community is not going to thrive. There is